an adult, I see, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much more to a woman and to a person than how they look. And I stand by that so much.
Hi friend, I'm Lauren Jean. I'm a thinker, babbler, lover of stories and founder of Thinking of Me. Welcome to our first season of Women Only Speakers, where we talk all things empowerment, success, relationships, and above all else, self. I hope you might find a new thread of thought as you listen. Hello, and welcome Lauren Gavigan to the Thinking of Me podcast. I've been really excited about this one. You were one of the first people to say yes, and I'm really delighted that we're getting the time. So I'll let Lauren introduce herself as to how she wants to define herself, but I definitely see you as like all things glam and femme and everything else. And we were just saying before we came on, like, I actually don't think we've spoken in person since school. And unless with like a random night or something in around Mullingar. But yeah, Lauren has been growing herself, growing her family, growing work and socials and the whole lot. And I very much admire all the work you're doing and that we can see on the outside. I can only imagine then inside just how busy that all is. Particularly as I know you're growing in that at the moment too. So as I say, let you maybe introduce yourself and some of your story. And yeah, and as I say, thanks just so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm actually very nervous, very excited, and make sure you tell me to slow down because I go off on a tangent and nobody will understand me. But yeah, so my name is Lauren Gavigan. I am now married, which is frightening, to be perfectly honest, which I don't feel like I'm old enough to be married. But yeah, I have a little boy, Paddy. He is coming 16 months, and I have another little baby on the way. Don't know whether it's a boy or girl yet. And I just started sharing on social media after I had Paddy. I was suffering so badly in my head with postpartum depression, and I just, do you know what? I just needed somebody to talk to, but I didn't need anybody to give me any advice and try and solve my problems. So I started talking to my phone. And I know everybody says, oh, I didn't mean to. And I did mean to grow this. There's no, I wanted to create a community of supportive women to let them know that it's normal to not feel normal after having a baby. That was a big thing for me. And I just feel as though we're helping remove the stigma around postpartum depression. Everybody kind of calls it, oh, the baby blues. It's not baby blues. It is full-on depression. So yeah, that's kind of where TikTok, Instagram kind of blew up from. I always posted a little bit on Instagram because I'm a personal trainer, and I posted in relation to that for a little while, especially over lockdown. And I always loved it, but never felt as though that was going to be where I would pursue social media. And then when I started to pursue it on my personal page, it worked out better for me. I could be more authentic and not watch what I'm doing, because I'm very much so has a cake and eat it. I'll train away, but I will have my Chinese on a Saturday night, you know? So yeah,
No,
that's
sure.
me. It's a little bit of fitness, a little bit of glam, as you say, a lot of fam, a little bit of work, a little bit of everything, like just normal life.
A little bit of farming, the whole lot there too. And
Yeah, there is
as
a
I
little
say,
bit of
I
farming
think
there.
it's I don't see a little bit of a Christmas tree. I saw your struggles. I actually, it's so funny. So we're in the month of December at the minute, and I put my tree up yesterday, and then I saw that you had on your story today of you trying to get yours down from the attic, and I was like, yeah, I remember those days, because I just stopped putting it up in the attic. I live like myself, and it was like, no, it's too much hassle. So I felt your trouble this morning that way.
Poor
Did you
Shane, he just has to climb up like Spider Monkey into the attic, just because I won't let the dirty farmyard ladders into the house, like. Anyway.
No, you're dead right. It's like my granny and my mum, but my granny particularly, yeah. It's very important what dirt does not come in. So I hear
dirt
you.
in the house, but it's not farm dirt, I can promise you that.
It's your own dirt as such.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Lauren, I thank you for being so open in saying that on here, and as I know, like through socials and that as well, in that kind of journey and the honesty that it takes to do something like that. And I don't, like, I'm not married, I don't have a child. yet, but I'm at this stage where like that it's all like house babies, engagement rings and everything left, right and centre, and seeing some of my best friends having their first child and watching what that's like. I don't know. And I think for any of our friends listening who is on this side of the journey with me still, can't know what something like that is like. And to do that for other women is amazing, to build that community. And I would have had that kind of mission as well, and kind of sharing, as you say, I've no one to talk to, so I'm just going to talk to the abyss. That was very much a catchphrase for me in lockdown, particularly, where it's like, yeah, I'm just talking to the abyss. And my granny would still ask me every now and again, oh, how's playing with your phone going? Because she doesn't understand, obviously, the networking of how the phone works. She's never had a smartphone, like at all. She doesn't even really use the remote on the telly as much anymore. But yeah, she's never had a smartphone and doesn't engage in like this whole world. So yeah, I think there's a huge positive in being able to do that, and as I say, to look at that journey and share all of what you do share in all the different aspects of what is life. What's the response been like, Lauren, for you to kind of get some of that feedback back, I suppose?
I have the best friends on social media, and that's what I call them, because when I tell you, if a message comes in, 99.99% of the time, it is some woman just taking time out of her day to be nice to me, or saying something kind, or something constructive. And like, if I've ever put up a post where like Paddy had colic and I put up a video, what am I going to do? When I tell you the women that pulled me through and got me through that, and if I put up that I'm having a bad day and I'm talking about that, the support and the acknowledgement that is okay and that you're not on your own. And nobody tries to tell you how to fix it, because when they've been in that position, you just know that you can't fix it. Sometimes it's medication, sometimes it's holistic approaches, but you can't fix that for me. I need to figure that out for me. And any of the women that I've spoken to in relation to the PPD are just amazing. They're just friends that you can chat away to. And like 9 times out of 10, if you message me on Instagram, you're getting a voice note back, because I want to talk to you, but I haven't got the time to be typing out all the time.
Same.
Yeah. So annoying, I'm sure, but I'm sorry.
No, like that's how it is, and I like I've said it at the start, and I really mean it. I'm not plumb-assing you when I say, like, I don't know how you do all that you do. No. And I'm like, I'm very aware all the time that like people say to me, "Oh, Lauren, like you're at X, Y, and Z," and then I turn around and say to them, "Yeah, but I've nobody at home waiting on me." Like as I say, I'm single myself at the minute and everything, and I don't have a family to look after as such. So yeah, kind of I'm on my own time. So to be able to like have where would you say like I'm balancing thinking the right word, but like where would you kind of pull some of that energy from? I know the support system is
Shane.
always
my
huge.
husband is, there is nothing like his work ethic, and I'm not going to sit here and do nothing when he's out there. He's working, he's running 2 businesses, he's training. Like during the year he was playing football, I wasn't feeling like I was missing him because he was still spending time with me. Paddy was still getting time with him. He doesn't miss a box. Like, he has all these boxes every single day that he tries to tick, and he ticks them all the time. So that encourages me to be like, well, if he can do that, I can go and I can go to the gym, I can do my classes, I can do a little bit of personal training, I can do my social media, I can do my career, I can do Paddy, I can do all of these things. And I think when you're a busy person, it's an awful lot easier to add things to your plate rather than starting from the bottom and adding all of these things at once. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does.
Yeah.
And I think, so with our listeners that have kind of been following the season so far, one of the key kind of threads, as I call them, is in kind of self-discovery, but also being able to access relationships. And relationships are all things. So whether it's like a relationship with yourself, a relationship with like a romantic partner, with a family member, with like food and other things and finances, like that's a whole other world and realm. But when you have like something positive there, and that matches you. And to say, like, it sounds like he's pulling you.
Yeah.
And what is, and I know you're together a long time and that, and not to like pry, but what would you say has made Lauren since Lauren and Shane?
Oh, so what made,
if you're comfortable sharing
of
some of your story,
because I think it's so important for people to know, and it's so important for women to know, especially, that they're allowed to be Lauren. So Shane and I were together since I was 20, and I was always besotted with him, and he was always like, yeah, call over if you want. That type of like real cool. And I'm like, well, I do want to call over, but I'm not going to call over now because you have to say it. If I want to call over, I can call over. But we saw each other for a couple of years, and then I would say we were about a year and a half, 2 years together, and we decided we were going to move in together. So that was great and all well and good. And I got hit with, I would say, the worst bout of depression I've ever experienced in my life. And we were just on different wavelengths. I couldn't function without Shane or knowing where he was, and I wanted him to come home to me and like to be with me all the time. And he was like, I can't take it, you're smothering me. So we split up. And when I say we split up because we weren't living together, and I was devastated, and it really, really affected me. But it forced me to deal with myself, and it forced me to look inwards and to find out why I needed that constant crutch of somebody beside me. And I was running and I was training like I always do, and I just thought to myself, I don't need him. And I don't mean that in like a negative connotation. I don't mean that in any way negative at all. But I wanted him after a while. I didn't need him. I don't need anybody in my life to be happy. And when I realized that I didn't need anybody else to make me happy, that I was just internally happy, I was accepting who I was as a person because I knew my values. And I know that when I'm speaking to somebody, or when I'm speaking about something, or I'm doing anything in my day-to-day life, I know that that comes from a good place. And if that gets misconstrued or people misunderstand it, then that's not my responsibility. I know that I've come from a good place. I know that I haven't set out to hurt or harm anybody. And if they pick that up that way, then that's unfortunate. They probably don't know me. And when I realized all of that, and I did all of that inner work, I did a little bit of therapy and got outside in the fresh air, I asked my cousin to send me a picture for a project I'm doing of something that reminds her of me, and she just sends me like sunsets, like a brisk fresh walk, and that's me. And I think that's what cured me, and that's why I find so much solace and happiness in that. But in order for me and Shane to work and click now, I needed that time away to rediscover myself, or discover myself, because I was 22. I didn't know myself at all, and I was never sure of myself. And I think that's a big confidence thing, is that when I remember I had a guidance counselor, you know who I'm talking about, a guidance counselor in school.
Exactly.
She was great, and she said something to me that stuck with me for years. And I was like, who do you think you are saying that to me? And only now that I'm like, she's dead right. So she said to me, I was having a hard time in school. There was rumours going around me.
Here is me promoting but I've only ever had that.
No, but
it goes to show in different ages. You can't hear sometimes what people are saying.
As an adult, I'm like, you're dead right. As a teenager, I was like, you're... But anyway, so she said to me, I was telling her there was these rumours going around about me. They were talking about me. They were doing this, that, and the other. And she said to me, Lauren, one day your looks are going to fade. And if you don't create something of substance about yourself, you're going to be nothing but a girl that used to be pretty. And I was like,
that would put a teenager
and it really did. And you know what? It really affected me for a long time. Now as an adult, I see, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much more to a woman and a person than how they look. And I stand by that so much. And I think when you discover the substance that you have, and what you have to offer the world, and what you have to offer people in your family, relationships, like you say, whether they're relationships with food, people, family members, whatever they are, when you know you have substance to yourself, every relationship feels better. and less effort.
Yeah.
And that time is what makes Shane and I click now.
Lauren, I love that. And everything you've said, and I'm sure anyone listening who is either going through some of those stages or is on the other side of that stage now, it's the truth. And I'm going to start with kind of saying, like, never share someone else's story and that you know, isn't here and whatever else. But just to say, and as an educator in that myself, I know that those truths, whether it comes from a teacher, guidance counselor, from a parent, from someone older, you know, whatever it might be, and it ties in with what you said, like where you just need to sometimes talk things out, figure things out for yourself. When something like that is said to you and it cuts, and they're doing it in a way to help you, it takes a while. And I've had those, you know, and I think for me, I can only speak for myself, like where the coaching industry really helped me was exactly that. Like I wasn't being told what to do. I kind of knew what I had to do anyway. And there was a structure and a plan and whatever else to an extent. But the last thing you could ever really get me to do is something that I didn't want to. And I think when you're trying to figure out some of those things about your own headspace and your own relationship and what it is like that is and isn't right for you, like nobody, I don't care, like if you're not ready to hear it, whether it's, you know, as the teenager in school or, you know, at different stages, when you're not ready to hear and you don't know it for yourself, nobody can do anything or say it to you. What would you, Lauren, and I'm resonating there, like I was 22 when I kind of like that woke up one day and was a bit like, God, who am I, what am I, whatever else. And what would you say started to bring you back together then, or what was the kind of change?
Do you want the appropriate answer or the inappropriate answer?
Well, inappropriate. This is my podcast. You can do whatever we like on here.
Be honest then, because he'll be like, Lauren, did you actually say it in public? But I didn't want to sleep with anybody else. And that was like I didn't want to sleep with anybody else, and neither did he. And that's how we got back together. And I know it sounds terrible, but there was no epiphany. There was a realization that we were still highly attracted to each other, obviously, and
you are two very attractive people, you know, just to compliment you. No, but you know, like energies and all of that kind of thing, when it does line up,
yes, it does. And you know what? It creates not only that sexual attraction, but you want to just be attracted to them for how they make you feel. And obviously there's the sexual element of it, but there's so much more to sleeping with somebody that you love, because there's like, I'll never forget it. We were, anyway, and I was like, I'm going to cry. I was like, I'm going to cry. I was just so emotional. But anyway, so that's how we started to get back together. And then he was like, do you want to stay and watch a movie? I was like, yeah, I want to stay and watch a movie. And like, do you want to get something to eat? And it was like just slowly finding our feet again. And you know what? We didn't move back in together up until probably, I'm going to say maybe 4.5 years ago. 4-ish years ago, if that would line up. And I moved into a house down in our local village on my own with Chester, my lovely little dog, and I was so happy there. And Shane used to come down and he'd stay, and then I kind of got to a point where I was like, are you moving in here or what are you doing? Like, what's the story? And it's been a whirlwind since then, getting married and having Poddy and this baby on the way, and it's like we were kids yesterday and now we're here.
No, I hear you. But that's like, and thanks, like, because we don't talk about intimacy, like, and we don't talk about sex, and we don't talk about like natural attraction and that only in the last couple of years. And Ireland was great for catching up, and anyone over the water listening, you know, it was more, if you don't know the term mortal sin, and the fact we're even on here talking about it, I'm sure if there'd be a lot of grays rolling and Granny's ears kind of shutting off right now. But I haven't said it on the podcast, but I've openly written and shared it on the blog. I've struggled massively. Like, I'm single, and by single I mean like I haven't been in like an exclusive relationship in it'll be 7 years this new year, and I've needed that space. And as I said, like the whole question was around myself and was the big thing. And I kind of learned all the things that I didn't realize were having a huge impact on not just my self-development, but just everything, mental health, like everything, that had all come from well before the relationship, from like as a child and as a teenager and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I've kind of been threading a lot of that.
It's tough.
Into making sense of me, and everything. So, and I say all that because I resonate with knowing that you need to not need somebody, but want someone, have that attraction. And I actually haven't liked and been attracted simultaneously and develop enough to I don't know, are we going to use all the
words.
Out loud words? All the words, like I haven't, Lauren, and that's very raw to say on here. I haven't like shared that myself with someone since. I not to say I haven't had a relation. There's been a nice bit, but I think that, as you say, when you know that there's there's you and there's them, and then that together it kind of matches up. And some of our other friends on this season have all kind of shared their story in that way too. So
yeah, I wouldn't like
how
it's hard though. Like I think big issue. I might be speaking out of turn here, but I'm trying not to. I think a lot of our issue in our generation is that everybody's so disposable.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, I could have walked away from Shane hundreds of times. Like, see you later. You're not worth my energy. But I've committed to that man. I love that man. And just because I don't like him right now doesn't mean I walk away. Now, Shane is a good man. He has our best interest at heart. He isn't out doing the dog on it. He's not out drinking. He doesn't do anything that would make me mistrust him. He could go on a stag weekend and I not hear from him, and I know for a fact he's coming home and he's not done anything. And I know that's rare, but I do think maybe that's rare because our attitudes just need a little bit of adjusting.
Yeah. No, I hear you completely. Because I'd entered like the single world then, where there wasn't even Snapchat, like before I had been in a relationship before that. And now there is Snapchat, Tinder, I don't think Bumble was around yet, but like, there was all these apps and all these things. And what it meant to kind of date there's no such thing as dating in Ireland. Well, we're getting there, but like to kind of ish. But yeah, that kind of, as you say, disposable approach of, but sure, that's all there's going to be. So why are you getting a notion of anything more?
This is it.
Would you say, Lauren, like you said there that you feel like you're still babies and having your family and being together and having gone through what you've gone through and knowing that, like, as you say, you're committed and you have each other's best interests at heart. What do you see maybe with your friend groups or in general with maybe without sharing anything else's story or anything like that, but what are you noticing as, like, the difference in you?
My girl,
in you. Let's keep it on you.
Best thing ever. I have a very, very, very small group of friends. And I know that I could ring them right now and they will be down here, kids and all in the car, but they'll be here.
Yeah.
And I would see one of my best friends, they had a similar relationship to Shane and I in the sense that they were together, they love each other, they split up, they did the work and they got back together and they're happy out. And they look so good together. And I don't mean that in like that aesthetically pleasing way. It's that their energies match, and when you walk into their home, it's a light feeling and it's warm and it's lovely, and their daughter is light and bubbly and full of energy because of them. And equally, I have another friend who met her boyfriend a couple of years ago. They have two gorgeous little kiddos at home. Everything is beautiful for them and they're fantastic and they're great. And equally, my soul sister has her two beauties. Oh my God. And I love her babies like they're my own. but she is on her own, and she's been on her own for a long time, and she will be, because she is so perfectly content, and she's doing so much inner work. And I don't mean like that she needs the inner work. We all need inner work, but she just is the definition of what we were talking about, is that she doesn't need anybody. She is so uber
Yeah.
independent, to her detriment sometimes, but she makes me want to be a better person, a better friend, a better sister, a better mother, because she will just drive you on, and she just, no matter what is thrown at her, she'll dodge it and she'll move on. Or it might knock her down, but it'll only knock her down for a second. And to surround, now don't get me wrong, I only made friends in my 20s, and anybody that's listening, you don't have to make friends or stay friends, just good friends. And I know, Lauren, you're one of the very
Yeah.
lucky ones. You have your gorgeous girls in school, some of them, and that's such a blessing.
Yeah, I have, Lauren, and I also haven't in all aspects. And that's not to say that I don't like falling out with anybody. Whether it's someone who's family, neighbours, exes, friends, all that kind of thing. I don't, but I'm my own worst enemy with some things, and I know that, and I'm not coming on here and saying that I've been perfect and I am perfect. Absolutely not. But I do have friendships like where we've outgrown each other, for definite. But that's not to say that we can't stay connected. But I am also very blessed. I have like friends and one friend in particular, like since play school days.
Is that your friend that just had the baby?
It is rare. Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, and I won't share her on here too much random, but she thinks she is. Yeah, but we weren't friends for a little while, all through college and through a relationship I had at the time, and that too. And I think learning what a real girl friendship is, as you say, like in your 20s, and when different things are happening, I've really started to see that this year as to who is and who isn't. And you know, they say that like you're the total sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And as you change, some people will hold that space and some people won't hold that space. And as I say, I don't like to fall out. That's not to say I haven't.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't like to. I like to like fix things. But yeah, that's
it's hard. And I don't think you need to fall out with anybody at all, in order to not. I know it's very hard, especially with girls. We can be such bitches.
Yeah. And I'm sure friends listening definitely have had that. Like,
totally.
There's no girl on here like that could never say that they haven't been in like a complete and utter bitch situation at some stage.
Yeah, of course. But no, I think it's important to realise that you don't have to remain friends with people you have outgrown. And trust me, I have people in my life that I'm like, I haven't seen you in 6 months. I don't want to see you at Christmas. Don't come at me telling me that you want to catch up with me when you live a half an hour down the road and I haven't seen you. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, I have my son, and if I haven't seen you, it doesn't mean that we're not talking. It just means, like you've said, we've outgrown each other, and that's okay. We can see each other and say hi in Tesco car park and move on. We don't have to stand and be like, we must go for coffee when we're not going to go for coffee. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, my friends, like I said, I met a lot of them growing up, but we only connected in my 20s. And would I have been friends with me before my 20s? Probably not. Do you know?
That's a great question to ask yourself. Would I be friends with me?
No, I wouldn't. And that's the truth. And you know what? To be friends with me is to have a thick skin, because if you want the truth, you're getting it. Do you know? And I won't. I'm not the type of person that's going to be, oh yeah, your dress is fab when you look horrid in it. Do you know the sort of way?
Yeah. No, for definite. And that's not a friend anyway. You know, I think a friend needs to be able to tell you, absolutely take that off.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, or you're being a bitch to your husband right now. Can you get a grip of yourself and leave him alone? Do you know that sort of way?
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's important. And my friends, I would call them, they're like my sisters. They're there. They're always there. They're always great. And I think in order to have that, you have to have done that work to work in a relationship,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, I do. And I that's why I always say, you know, with thinking of me, it all begins with yourself. Yeah. Like, and as you say, if I wouldn't be friends with me, then how can I expect someone else to? And if I don't like myself enough, then how, you know, can I look for worth in a relationship or whatever it might be? Lauren, tell me, because your level of glam is next level to me, for sure and certain. Oh, 100%. I couldn't do half the stuff. I see you share stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give that a bit of a go. And then, yeah, I look like, I don't know what I look like. So I know all things take practice. So I'm not like putting myself in a hole there altogether. But where or when, or has it always been just kind of natural to you to kind of have that kind of glam side and with the makeup and the hair and the whole lot? Because my sister, she's always had it. So, yeah. Curious.
Yes. Do you know what? My mother would never leave the house without her makeup done and her hair done. My aunt is the same, and my nanny, my dad's mother, actually my mom's mom was the same. They just would never leave without like lipstick, a little bit of powder, a little bit of rouge, the hair done, and you wear your good clothes into town. And I suppose that resonated with me, and that's probably on a very, very, very deep level, is that where it comes from, and that's where it's the normal. Because I see Shane's mum and Shane's sisters, they're always so gorgeous, but they mightn't wear makeup. And I'm like, that's like, it makes no odds, but I could never, because it's not what I'm doing. But they're beautiful without it. Do you know what I mean? But then I grew up in watching the likes of like Chloe Boucher and Jacqueline Hill and all these girls on YouTube. And you bet your bottom dollar, I'll never forget, in school, I think it was caught drinking or smoking or something, I can't remember. And God knows, like, I remember the way I was punished was the phone was gone. Obviously, that was a no-brainer. The phone was going to be gone, but the whole drawers of makeup were gone. And I was like, oh my God! Yeah. So my mom and dad knew how to punish me, you know. But yeah, I suppose it came from there as a child, and then I was obsessed with it as a teenager, and I've fallen in love with it again in the last couple of years.
Well, you can really see that from, as I say, from your socials. And for friends listening, if you're not following Lauren, like on Instagram and TikTok, Lauren Gavigan has all of the tips for everything. And as I say, I try as one who it doesn't come naturally to. I do try and follow the same friend. God, she's getting all the talk today. But I remember it showing me how to put on eyeliner. And to this day, I still only use the little gel liner one and like pull the eye and kind of roaming along across. And we were like 14, 15, and I haven't done my makeup any differently since then, since she taught me how to do that. I didn't want to head into one of the schools of some description. So yeah, it takes a while. I actually went to a masterclass thing. They had one there in Brown Thomas and Blanche last year. They kind of showed me. I was like, okay, so I like upped to a different foundation. Again, haven't changed anything since.
Yeah,
yeah, I think there might be a lot of gals listening who could do with giving you a follow for some of the glam stuff, is what I mean. How do you find that then with farm life and family life and socials? Because, you know, how do you find keeping it so real, which it is, alongside, as you say, if you wouldn't leave the house, you know, or not like you wouldn't, but, you know, the kind of nicety of not leaving the house without the full face and everything, and then showing up exactly as you are on social?
I don't care. And that's not me being like, I don't care. I don't care. If I feel like I'm having a bad skin day, I will more than likely not come on social media. If I have no makeup on, but I'm like, you look a little bit deathly, but you're grand. I don't like that I look the way I look. I'm not going to come on to you and preach to be like, I look like this all the time. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, did all my glam, help Shane feed cows, I'm all clean. No, like, I'm sorry. I'll go out to the yard most mornings with Cody in my pajamas, and then I'll come on and do my hair and makeup and get glam. You know what I mean? It's not, I would never make out that I'm glam all the time. But equally, if I am glam, that won't stop me getting cattle in if they break out.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Does that make sense?
I hear you.
Like,
no, it does.
Now, I will go out, obviously, without my makeup done. But I would, if I'm out without my makeup done, it's because Bucko hasn't slept all night, most likely.
Yeah. And speaking of buckle, I'm obsessed with your son. And I'm sure I'm not doing it. And I remember messaging you that here a good while back because I was like, I'm going to have to tell her. I was like, I live for watching your son.
Yeah, he's gas. He's
Is he obsessed with you or with Shane?
He is kind of, but more me currently, and I am painfully aware that that's going to change mighty fast. But he's a pure mommy's boy. He's spoiled rotten, sure.
What way would you say? Obviously, the whole life changes, and I know your like journey of with the postpartum and that. But what would you say he's done, Lauren, for you? I know that's a silly question in a way, but for you in being his mom and kind of, I don't know, is it like a daily thing, or when was maybe the first moment it kind of came, wow, this is a whole little person?
So I suppose
if that's something that comes up regularly.
For me, again, unless you've had a child, please don't judge me. But it took me a good while to be able to say that I love this little boy. I definitely didn't have that instant connection. Like, I remember being told that when you have this baby, you're not going to know love like it. It's going to change your life. I'm lying here on a surgery table, mind you, that I'm lying here, and they put this baby on me, and I'm just like, okay, he didn't breathe, he didn't cry for a little while, and then he cried and he was alive, and that was brilliant. And I cried then in relief. Me crying because he was alive didn't actually register in my mind as anything. It was just an emotion. And then in the hospital, now this is going to get very raw and very deep, and a little bit of a trigger warning if anybody has any postpartum depression or anything, please just listen with caution. I was in the hospital anyway, and obviously you're looking at this gorgeous little baby, you're besotted, and you know that I knew that I loved him, but I didn't feel love, and I don't know, does that make sense? But that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to protect him and mind him, and that was all I was going to do. And I remember lying awake one night. Now, I'll never forget it, and it eats me inside, because I'll never forget thinking, what's the big deal? Even if I lose this baby, or even if he has a cot death, which is the one thing you're worried about as a new mother, like you're watching them to make sure they're alive. I'll never forget lying there and be like, what is the big deal? And I suppose that made me realize that I was seriously unwell and that I was not okay. And I'll never forget saying it to Shane, that I wasn't sure that I loved Paddy, and I wasn't sure that I was okay. And he was fantastic. I'm not going to be like, but I could stand talking about him all day, every day. But I'll never, I don't know how I pulled myself out of it. Obviously, it was exercise. It generally is for me, and fresh air and talking. But that hormone imbalance that causes you to think like that is so horrific. And if you are thinking like that, go and talk to a doctor, and don't ignore it, because it is a scary thought, and it really, really affects me to this day, feeling that guilt. So that is where my mindset changed. And then I look at Paddy every day now, and to circle back to your question of why I'm telling you all of that, is he now gives my life a purpose. Because before we started trying for Paddy, I was like, right, okay, well, I like my job, I'm in a good place in my career. Shane was building the farm and building the business. I was like, well, I'm not going to spend my life just being fit and that's it. I'm just going to be fit and work in this career. So we were ready to have Paddy, and I'm so glad that he came when he came and how he came and everything, because he does give you a purpose, but he also reminds you that you are allowed to be you outside of being a mother. And again,
Mm-hmm.
going back to your original thing with relationships, is you still have to be comfortable on your own away from your relationship. And whether that's a relationship with your children, your mother, or your partner, it's important to remember that,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah,
For
purpose,
sure.
I suppose, the answer to your question.
No, and Lauren, thank you. I'm sorry. I suppose I didn't mean to
No, not at all. God,
ask something
no,
that
not
would.
at all. I said to you already that I wouldn't talk if I wasn't comfortable.
And I can only really say thanks. And I know anyone who is maybe listening can, as Lauren said, like if any of those feelings or thoughts are very raw or real at the moment for you, to absolutely find the support that you need. And for anyone who maybe has had those thoughts and has never either said them or acknowledged them, and to hear someone else say them, like, I'm thinking of my mom, and I'm not going to share her story or anything, but I'm thinking of my granny. I'm thinking of the women of Ireland particularly, but women all over the world who this has happened for and happens across generations. And you mentioned it, like even with the hormone imbalance and all that kind of thing, where there had no guidance and no awareness of that, and the things that would have happened to them and all that kind of thing in a negative way and so on. So yeah, I can only really say thanks, Lauren. And like, I'm also, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I'm not, and I haven't been obviously in that situation, but I've had experiences where, again, when you catch that scary thought of going, oh my God, I am not a woman person.
But it's good to catch those thoughts.
I remember, like, it's good to catch them. And as you say, when you kind of then, and it sounds like there, Shane was your trigger to kind of go, okay, let's fix this, you know, and have that support and that there too. That's where it really changes things. And you said there with the purpose, with Paddy, and also the idea of, okay, I'm married now and I'm not just going to you know, you know, with, as you said, kind of just be fit and whatever else. There's some women, and they mightn't be listening, but there's definitely some friends out there who children are just point blank not on the cards at all.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, was it the case with you said you were trying for Paddy and that was it always on the cards for you, Lauren, or did it kind of no? Okay. That was a very straight no.
I never forget telling my nanny. I have two nannies, and one, God love her, she's in a nursing home now. She got unwell and she's dementia. My other nanny.
Oh, I think I saw this.
Yeah, she's a little dose.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
She's a dose. But, my
yeah.
other nanny, she's like my second mother, and I remember I told her, I was so excited. I told her I was pregnant. Oh. Like, what's your problem? So anyway, she settled herself a couple of days later. She was like, I just wasn't expecting you to tell me. You told me you didn't want kids. And my granddad, which isn't her husband, is my other granddad, he was the exact same. He's like, right, I wasn't expecting that. Do you know? So I had, and I would be very open, I'm the most inappropriate grandchild. I will have all of the conversations with my nanny and granddad, my mother's mother and my father's father, and I'll have all of those uncomfortable conversations, and they're great. They chat away to me. But for me to have had conversations stating that, I don't think I'm going to have kids, to being like, I'm pregnant, they were like whiplash. But Shane was always the one for the family. He was like, well, if you don't want to have kids, we're going to have a serious chat and we'll see you later, because I want kids.
Okay.
You know, but no, kids weren't always on the cards. And do you know what? If kids aren't on your cards, grand. Go get yourself a lovely little dog or a lovely little cat and have a bit of companionship. You don't have to have kids. And I don't judge any person for not having kids. Equally, I hope I don't get judged for having kids. And I just think just go and live your life, and each to your own. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And like for a long time, like it was the clock thing with me. I was like, oh yeah, but you need to have everything sorted by the time you're 21. You need to have everything sorted by the time you're 25 and 30 and all of that. So, you know, again, for anyone listening, like, I love that like the quick no, and then just have life unfold, and life will unfold in kind of how it's meant and everything. When are you due, Lauren?
We are due in the spring, so it's all about 20 months between the two of them, which is absolutely chaotic. Okay. But I think that's fine, and I don't think that's a big deal, because one of my best friends is 14 months between her kids, and I'm like, if she could do it with 14 months gaps, I'd be grand.
Yeah.
You know, and Shane's great.
No, that's exciting. And the very best of luck. I hope, like, health-wise and for you and baby and everything can only go smoothly for you.
God.
What will you do differently?
What will I do differently?
Yeah.
Not eat like I'm a bottomless pit and like the weight is just going to fall off or the baby falls out. Yeah, that Fair. Is. I was 100 kilos going into have. Wait, let's tell you from the story. I was 100 kilos going into have body, and I was like 99 kilos and point something 8, I think 99.8 or something. Scandalous weight. Is it any wonder? Like, I'll never forget saying to Ferdo, he owns a gym in town. I was training with him, he's a physiotherapist. I was like, my hands, my feet, and my bit is going to physio. I was seeing specialists. I was like, what is going on? I was like, it's just fluid. It's just fluid. I was so heavy. My joints couldn't hold me. Anyway, that's great. I won't eat as much, but we went into the doctor. Poor old Paddy was back in my doc on Sunday, and the nurse needed to weigh him. So I said, I'll stand on the scales. I'll hold Paddy and I'll get on the scales with Paddy. So that was grand. And Shane and I were talking afterwards. What's it expecting your weight? And I was like, all right, yeah, no, neither was I, to be honest with you. I was like, that's pretty impressive. I'm lighter now, halfway through my pregnancy, than I was before I got pregnant on Paddy. So he was like, yeah, I kind of expect you to be like my weight. I was like, well, what's your weight? And he was like, 89 kilos. I was like, you cheeky brat. I couldn't believe it. I was like, who do you think you are? So yeah. But no, health, exercise, more water. I'm more active this pregnancy, because I'm more calm and I know what I'm up against and what I'm doing. I think that's the biggest thing. Second time round is always going to be easier in anything you do in life.
Sure. No, for definite.
Yeah.
Lauren, you kind of tackled a few of it there, but stress in your life, what would you say you do to combat it, or do you actively have like a stress management?
Okay, so my best friend's daughter will tell you exactly what I say in my house, and I'll tell you it's no big deal. Unless it is a big deal, okay. It is no big deal. If the dog comes in across the clean floor that I've just cleaned, I'm like, right, okay, I can do something about that. No big deal. Let's organise it. If the day before my wedding day, we are having gale force winds and storms, and we're having an outdoor wedding, and the caterer was ringing me being like, I can't do this. I'm like, right, okay, I'm not going to panic. I can't change it. So if I can't change it, I'm not wasting my energy stressing about it. So things that you can't control, things that I can't control, other people's behaviours, the weather, the way people act, the way people carry themselves, so that type of thing. I don't stress over that because I can't change that. Money. If we have money problems, I won't sleep, I won't eat, I can't talk. That is one thing. And Shane is the exact same. We're really bad. So we're very good at keeping on top of our finances and watching money now, because we have, obviously, as any young couple have had, or any person has had, you're like, oh, I have a shilling, I'm going to have a stroke. Do you know? But that's my, that would be our advice, is financial stress. We can't do it. As individuals or as a couple, we can't. It really affects us. But yeah, that's my takeaway from that. Is if you can control it, 9 times out of 10, it's no big deal. If you can control it, you can change it and you can adjust it to fit what you need it to do. If you can't control it, take a second, accept that you can't control it, have a deep breath, allow yourself to be annoyed, leave the annoyance behind, and just move forward, because there's nothing you can do about it in this immediate point.
I love it. I love that.
Great.
And it's in having a mindset like that, you know, and I'm hearing, I know it's the same thing and slightly different, but like with the Serenity Prayer and that, like, of, you know, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Like, you don't have to be religious or spiritual to kind of be able to access that. No. As you say, like, stress is kind of when you're undergoing a change typically, and if you're trying to force something that's not natural, that's what I've learned anyway, is that, as you say, it's just a complete waste of my energy. And just gives you the wrinkles.
Yeah, that we don't need, because it costs a fortune for Botox, so we're not doing that yet.
Literally. No, well, I don't know if I'm getting it. They say there's free Botox and all of that, but I said that out loud at home recently, and both my granny and my mum went, "Don't go near your face."
Don't say a word, you'll be grand.
That's it. Another friend, she'd kill me for outing her, and I won't out her, but another friend, she got her upper lip done, and she didn't say anything. She was like, I'm not going to notice. I'm not going to say anything to, like, the filler, but, you know, she'll kill me. But, she knows who she is. And for friends listening, you know, if you're doing something, I agree, Lauren, like, keep it quiet.
Do your thing, and if anybody asks, admit it if you want to admit it. But, like, I've had my lips done, and, like, my mother didn't even notice. Like, I'm like, Mom, they're so different. They look fantastic. How did you not notice? And then she looked at them and she was like,
that was my friend's reaction too. That was exactly that. She came home and there was no reaction. And she was like, oh, I fucking go back, do I?
Yeah, no, but I look back on pictures and stuff, and you're looking, I'm like, oh my God, it's so different. But, like, don't get me wrong, I have girls I went to school with that they don't even look like themselves, that I would have known them. But I'm like, equally, you do you, girl. Do you know what I mean? If you're happy, you're happy. I don't care.
I hear you. Lauren, this has been so much fun, because, like, I genuinely can't put a finger on when the last time we would have had a chat, but at the same time, as I say, I feel like I'm in your kitchen every day of the week, or on your farm, or wherever it might be. What would you say to anyone who needs to hear whatever you feel like you have either been through or that you do at the minute? Is there anything that's kind of jumping to
for the person happy in themselves and they're in a relationship? I think if you can do the work in the relationship and be in the relationship, if you can do the work on yourself and focus on yourself and yourself alone, great. If you can't, walk away, and if it's meant to be, it will be. And if it's meant to be, you need to go out there and you need to just be like, well, I want to meet you for coffee. I want this. And if they're not giving you anything, it's the whole thing you see on social media. If they wanted to, they would. And girls, I'm telling you, boys, whoever's listening, if they wanted to, they would. And I'm telling you, it is not a gimmick. It is a fact. That's the first thing. And the most important thing that I would take away from is, if you're struggling with any sort of negative thoughts, scary thoughts that you've had and you haven't actually acknowledged those thoughts, chat to somebody. It doesn't have to be professional. It never has to be professional. If you don't need that for you. I know my husband, he went through something traumatic a couple of years ago. It's no secret. He was in a really bad work accident. And I was like, you need to speak to a therapist. I'm begging you. And it was never going to happen, because that's not the person that he is. So you might necessarily need a medical professional or therapist, but speak to a friend, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, whoever it is, the bloody priest if you need to. Just talk to somebody. Don't leave your thoughts in your mind, because there's so much worse in your mind, because your mind has an awful habit of just running. You'll take one little thought, whereas, oh my God, he's cheating on me because he didn't text me back in 0.5 of a second on Snapchat. He blue messaged me, whatever, I don't care. And he has a whole family and an affair, and the whole lot is happening. Just busy at work, I forgot to reply. Do you know? So just talk.
No. I hear you. I love that, Lauren. And as someone who always would have thought of herself as a talker, I could be very good at babbling over things and around things. And it was only when I kind of realised the things that I wasn't talking about. And then you can talk too much without doing anything. So I love the kind of action there of, you know, you do have to get out your head and talk about
Mm-hmm.
it. And that's an action in itself. And then going to the right places.
But don't talk to me
where
about it 5 times and not do anything about it either, though.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'd be on the
yeah,
same page as you
yeah,
there, 100%.
yeah. You sometimes need to hear it back.
Yeah.
Either from, as you say, the good friend that tells you, take that off you, that's
Yeah.
awful. Or, whatever it might be. And hold the space to figure it out. But find what works and take your time is what I'd add to that. Lauren, Christmas is around the corner. Thank you so much for taking time to do this. But with Christmas and everything, and all things new in the spring and the whole lot else, what would you love to say or see for 2025? Let's just even go with like next year.
2025. What do I see? Are we talking like what's on my list?
We can go with list. Yeah, we can go with Santa Claus list, goal list, life list, or what's kind of happening. I know, obviously, new baby, that's an obvious kind of a please God, all going safe and well.
25, Lauren. 2025. Mortgage approved. Planning approved. They're 2 big things that I see in 2025. Praying early in the year. Don't care if it's this time next year, once it happens. Obviously, our happy, healthy, darling baby coming into this world. Please God, by VBAC. Please God. But if it doesn't happen that way, it doesn't happen that way. VBAC is vaginal birth after cesarean. What else? I want to not be 100 kilos would be fantastic. That would be like a bonus. And to hopefully by the end of next year, so this time next year, to be able to run safely and healthily a half marathon around this time of the year. That would be fantastic. I would love that because it took me so long, obviously mentally and physically after Pody, that I think this time, and obviously no pressure on myself, but if this time we could have that type of goal in the back of my mind, perhaps it might pull me through.
Let's get some accountability partners, friends listening. Who's up for a half marathon?
Yeah, I can't
this
imagine
time?
there's going to be too many hands up.
You might get a couple of gals. You never know.
I pray that I will.
I know you will. I know if you want to, you will, and I know if it's right, it'll happen. So, and if it's not meant to in that timeline, you will when the time comes. So I've learned that with as I say, time is an emotion. So sometimes our emotions need a bit more space than other times, and sometimes it's like, no, let's just get this shit done.
Yeah, I love that. That's really, really good.
Yeah. Lauren, thank you so much. And as I say, for anyone listening, this gal has buckets of insight in all corners of life, and I've had such fun. And if you would love to come back on maybe somewhere along the line, season 1's women only, and I'd love to kind of catch up somewhere in the future in that too, and for us all to watch you, as I say, grow, because knowing you from school loosely, like we never would have been like yeah, and knowing you now and knowing where things are going, I think it's great. I think it's great when the collective kind of keep together as such, which you'd never find. Like I found that, like we talk friend groups, all that kind of thing. Like you'd be so surprised in the people life brings and the way life goes and all that kind of thing. So sorry, I could have crossed you a train of thought there, I think.
No, you did not at all. No, not at all. I'm just appreciating your knowledge. But yeah, I'd love to come back on 100%. I had a lovely chat. It was so nice talking to you. I feel like I'd sit here and talk to you all evening.
I could too, 100%. I think you've got another like 4 areas of cover.
You know what? I'll 100% come on after we have this baby, maybe, and maybe touch base on obviously the PPD and see how we get on, and see, maybe am I in that space or have I moved past that space, or did I even enter that space again?
Yeah, I'd love that, and I know our friends listening would learn a lot from that next stage of the journey for you as well, for sure.
Hopefully.
And I hope that, like, now as things change and flow, you know, that some of those collective will find you too, and you'll find whatever happens rolling forward.
Please God.
Yeah, as you say, the support's out there and that too. So,
Absolutely, there's so much.
there for now, Lauren. Thank you so much, as I say, and friends listening. I know I've learned a lot with Lauren today. So thanks, Gav.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, friend, for listening to the Thinking of Me podcast. I hope you found something within our story today that lands for you. You can keep up with us on Thinking of Me blog, Thinking of Me coaching, and Lauren Jean on socials. Go to thinkingofmecoaching.com/checklist for your checklist for self-fulfillment. Until our next chat, talk soon, my friend.